Let's go ahead and call the Senate to order. Sergeant-at-Arms will please secure the chamber doors. Senators, please take your seats. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Mr. President.
All right, Senators, we have Pastor Gary Dittman from the Amazing Grace Lutheran Church in Baltimore, Maryland, guest of the distinguished senator from the 45th District. Please rise for the invocation.
Will you join me in prayer? Gracious Holy God, today I pray for the work of this Senate and for those who carry out this work. These representatives have been elected to serve in these divided times in this tricky season with uncharted challenges. I thank you for their unique gifts and abilities and pray that you would guide their efforts in their work as they lead. Make them mindful of those most vulnerable in our communities, considering ways to address needs in responsible and compassionate ways. Grant them wisdom and sound judgment. Guide these senators that they may govern with integrity, fairness, truth, and humility. Aid them in their efforts to work together for the benefit of all citizens, that all lives may be touched in positive ways, that communities might thrive and neighborhoods will flourish, and that we might live in ways that honor you and lean into a vision of the beloved community, where there is a place at the table for all. Guide us on the healing path, that the wounds of racism and distrust that divide us might not keep us from moving forward toward a better future together. A future that with your help is full of hope and opportunities for all. I pray for each person here today, asking your blessing on their lives and on the work that they do on behalf of the people of this state. Lord God, be present in a mighty way. Amen. Thank you.
Thank you. Chair recognizes the senator from the 45th District.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, I have the fortunate opportunity to be able to recognize Pastor Dittman. Pastor Dittman is doing phenomenal work in the city of Baltimore, specifically in the McElderry Park community, I just realized that we were adjacent communities from that standpoint. But colleagues, Pastor Dittman is the epitome of what we expect out of our church. When we think about the food pantry, when we think about the urban ag that they have right behind the church, that is Pastor Dittman and his congregation. When we think about housing and affordable housing, thinking about the land trust that was started right there in Baltimore City, that is Amazing Grace and Pastor Dittman. When we think about public safety, them housing currently the McElderry Park safe streets right there, Mr. President, that is Pastor Dittman and Amazing Grace. When we think about the after-school programming that takes place right there in the basement, Pastor Dittman, that is Amazing Grace. It is so much work that is going on, but I reiterate that that is the sound piece of what we call community. Our church right there recognizes that they are a part of that community. And I always end with that while we always have great leaders, at the end of the day, we have to recognize that we have great partners that make great leaders. So I do see his wife, Karen, right there by his side as usual, and just would like to say, could you give a warm welcome to both Pastor Dittman and Miss Karen, and if we can just journalize the marks, and I got it right this time, Mr. President.
Most certainly, Senator, and your words are well stated and ring incredibly true. Before we were just talking that at the church, the food pantry, they went from 35 families to 450 families being served, 35 to 450. So just a remarkable growth in need through the pandemic, but also how to maintain that connection inside the community. It's tough. So thank you for your work and thank you for your remarks today, and we'll certainly journalize the invocation. Thank you very much. All right, has everyone recorded their presence in the chamber? It appears so. Clerk will take the call. With 44 members in the chamber and a quorum being present, the Senate of Maryland is now in session. Senators, do we have any introductions today? Introductions. Yes, Chair recognizes the senator from the Lower Eastern Shore.
Thank you, Mr. President. He was in the gallery and may still be. I wanted my colleagues to join me in welcoming Tom Taylor from PAC 14, and that's the public access channel from Salisbury University. So please welcome him.
Excellent. And then the gallery behind you. Welcome. Thanks so much. Other introductions? All right. Sounds good. We sure? All right. Without objection, so be considered the reading of the journal from the prior legislative day. We've got some bond initiatives. This is calendar number 17. Clerk will read the bond initiatives.
Number 1, Senator M. Washington, Baltimore Safe Haven Expansion Project, Budget and Taxation. Number 2, Senator M. Washington, Pride of Towson Lodge, Budget and Taxation.
Majority Leader moves so be considered the reading of the bond initiatives. They'll be referred to the Capital Committee. We have a report, second reader report from the Committee on Finance. Clerk will read the bill.
Senate Bill 14, Senator Augustine, Health Occupations Clinical and Graduate Alcohol and Drug Counselors, Licensures. Favorable.
Senate Bill 14. Senate Bill 14. Oh, Chair recognizes Senator from the 37th District as the floor leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. Senate Bill 14 alters the qualifications to become a licensed clinical alcohol and drug counselor, that's LCADC, or a licensed graduate alcohol and drug counselor, that's LGADC. The bill specifies that the required master's or doctoral degree must be in a professional counseling field rather than a health and human services counseling field, and that the required degree must be from an accredited educational institution rather than a regionally accredited educational institution. The bill also repeals a second educational pathway for licensure as an LCADC and removes from statute specific coursework requirements to qualify for licensure as an LGADC. Generally, this bill aligns LCADC and LGADC requirements with the requirements for other professions regulated by the board that hold the same scope of practice. There are no amendments. There is no fiscal impact. There is no opposition at the committee hearing. I move the adoption of the favorable committee report and like to point out that when the board was asked if this would reduce the number of individuals eligible, this would not reduce the number of individuals eligible to be licensed in any way. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator. Floor leader moves to the adoption of the favorable committee report. Chair recognizes the chair of the Judicial Proceedings Committee.
Thank you, Mr. President. I wonder if the floor leader had.
Will the floor leader yield to a question?
I'm just kidding.
Yes, sir.
Here, so, Senator, may proceed.
Thank you.
Oh, I thought that was going to be a tough question. Excellent. All right. Any further discussion? Any further discussion? First time on the floor, always a little bit of little pledge hazing. All right. On the favorable committee report, any discussion? If not, all in favor of the report say aye. Opposed, nay. The ayes have it. The favorable committee report is adopted. Are there any amendments to the bill or its title? Seeing none, Senate Bill 14 is hereby ordered printed for third reader. We've got a report from Education, Energy, and the Environment, report number 2. Clerk, read the first bill.
Senate Bill 10, Senator Bailey, Department of Natural Resources Documents Digital or Electronic Issuance, favorable with 2 amendments.
Senate Bill 10. Chair recognizes the senator from Frederick City as the floor leader.
Thank you very much. Senate Bill 10 modernizes some existing electronic regulations. It expands a requirement that the Department of Natural Resources make available and issue certain licenses and stamps in a digital or electronic format. The bill also expands an authorization for an individual to satisfy any requirement to possess or display those documents by possessing or displaying the documents in a digital or electronic format. It does make a few minor exceptions. There have been 2 amendments to the bill. One amendment just adds co-sponsors, and if you'll bear with me while I flip pages. The Second Amendment exempts certain documents from the bill requirements and clarifies that the bill does not affect the responsibility to display certain numbers, stickers, or decals on a vehicle, vessel, or other physical object. I ask for a favorable report. Thank you.
All right, the floor leader moves for the adoption of the 2 committee amendments and the favorable committee report. On the amendments, any discussion? Any objections to the amendments? Without objection, the 2 amendments are adopted. Question now is on the favorable committee report as amended. Any discussion? Any objections? If not, all in favor of the objection, all in favor of the report say aye. Opposed, nay. The ayes have it. The favorable committee report as amended is adopted. Are there any further amendments to the bill or its title? Seeing none, Senate Bill 10 is ordered printed for third reader. Clerk, read the next bill.
Thank you.
Senate Bill 23, Senator Brooks, Heating, Ventilation, Air Conditioning, and Refrigeration Services, Journeyman License, Qualifications, favorable.
Chair recognizes the senator from Baltimore County as the floor leader.
Thanks, Mr. President. Senate Bill 23 alters the qualifications of a journeyman's license to providing heating, ventilation, air conditioning, and refrigeration services, as HVACR. Specifically, the bill increases the number of years from 3 to 4. An applicant must be licensed as an apprentice before applying for a journeyman's license. Additionally, the bill increases the hours of training required from 1,875 to 6,000 for a journeyman's license applicant. There are no amendments, and we ask that we move the adoption to the favorable committee report.
Floor leader moves to the adoption of the favorable committee report. Any discussion? Yes, Chair recognizes the minority whip.
Mr. President, I just wondered if I could ask the floor leader a question.
Will the floor leader yield to appear so? Senator may proceed.
Yes.
We've been doing a lot of work in both bodies about licensing and trying to make sure that we're meeting our workforce needs. This seems like a lot of hours. Can you elaborate on why we're changing this and what it's aimed at?
Yes, I can. You know, when the apprentice takes tests, they've been passing at a rate of 38%. So we feel as though if they were to get that additional training, then that would improve those percentages. So, and that has been, well, we got requests from both union and non-union to increase the number of hours.
I guess my concern, and that's a great point about the test, my concern, I guess, is it's an additional hurdle, though, to get to the point where you can take the test.
Well, one could say that, but I think we do want to increase the percentages of people passing the test, you know, and here again, that additional training will definitely provide that, and it's, you know, and they will be out there actually earning compensation while they're doing that.
Okay,
but yes.
Forgive me. I know you're obviously they are paid while they're doing their training, but is it a training wage or a training rate? How does that work?
Yes, yeah. Well, they will definitely get compensated for that. And if you were to look at the other surrounding, the neighboring states and what their qualifications are, in one case it's up to 8,000 hours. So we're well within the realm of what our neighboring states are doing.
Okay. Thank you for your answers. Thank you.
You're quite welcome.
All right, any further discussion on the report? If not, all in favor of the report say aye. Opposed, nay. The ayes have it. The favorable committee report is adopted. Are there any amendments to the bill or its title? Seeing none, Senate Bill 23 is hereby ordered printed for third reader. Clerk, read the next bill.
Senate Bill 34, Senator Hester, Department of Agriculture, State Ombudsman for Value-Added Agriculture, favorable with 2 amendments.
Chair recognizes the senator from Howard and Montgomery counties as the floor leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. Colleagues, as you know, agriculture is the #1 commercial industry in the state of Maryland, and the fastest part of that is value-added agriculture. So at its heart, this bill is about changing milk into ice cream, rye into whiskey, apples into applesauce. It's a simple bill. It simply establishes the state specialist for value-added agriculture within the Department of Agriculture. And there are 2 committee amendments. The first makes technical changes and adds co-sponsors. The second alters the title of the new position to be the state specialist for value-added agriculture. The bill passed unanimously out of committee. I move for the adoption of the 2 amendments and the favorable committee report.
Floor leader moves for the adoption of the 2 committee amendments and the favorable committee report. On the amendments, any discussion? If not, all in favor of the amendment say aye. Opposed, nay. The ayes have it. The 2 committee amendments are adopted. Question now is on the amended report. Any discussion? If not, all in favor of the report say aye. Opposed, nay. The ayes have it. The favorable committee report as amended is adopted. Are there any further amendments to the bill or its title? Seeing none, Senate Bill 34 is hereby ordered printed for third reader. Clerk, read the next bill.
Senate Bill 102, Senator Bailey, Natural Resources Recreational Crabbing Licensure Exemption, favorable with 2 amendments.
Chair recognizes the senator from the 35th District as the floor leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. As amended, Senate Bill 102 authorizes a person younger than the age of 16 to use a collapsible trap or net ring while crabbing in the Chesapeake Bay or its tidal tributaries without a recreational crabbing license. There are two committee amendments. The first one is technical. The second amendment strikes language that would have broadly exempted children under the age of 16 from the requirements to obtain a recreational crabbing license and substitutes the more narrow exemption for children using specified crabbing gear. I'd like to move the two amendments and for adoption of the favorable committee report.
Floor leader moves for the adoption of the two committee amendments and the favorable committee report. On the amendments, any discussion? If not, all in favor of the amendment say aye. Opposed, nay. The ayes have it. The two committee amendments are adopted. Question now is on the amended report. Any discussion? If not, all in favor of the report say aye. Opposed, nay. The ayes have it. The favorable committee report as amended is adopted. Are there any further amendments to the bill or its title? Seeing none, Senate Bill 102 is hereby ordered printed for third reader. Clerk, read the next bill.
Senate Bill 121, Senator Rosa Pepp, More Opportunities for Career-Focused Students Act of 2023, favorable.
Chair recognizes the senator from the 23rd District as the floor leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. This bill generally requires local school systems to assist high school students in preparing for admission to registered apprentice programs in a manner similar to how they assist students in preparing for admissions to post-secondary institutions, specifically with regard to college and career readiness software platforms that help align students' strengths and interests to post-secondary goals and careers. Consider the pursuit of a vocational certificate, industry certification, or apprenticeship program as the equivalent of pursuing post-secondary education. It allows students, parents, and guardians to choose to authorize release of students' personal information and platform results to registered apprenticeship programs or specified employers within the platform in the same manner which public high school students inform students of post-secondary educational options, inform students of employment and skills training opportunities available through registered apprenticeship programs and specified employers. And if the local school system pays for any student to take specified college admission or college preparatory exams, pay for a student to take specified apprenticeship entrance or industrial certification exams. This bill passed out of the House unanimously last year. No fiscal impacts. Move adoption of the favorable committee report.
Floor leader moves for the adoption of the favorable committee report. Any discussion? If not, all in favor of the report say aye. Opposed, nay. The ayes have it. The favorable committee report is adopted. Are there any amendments to the bill or its title? Seeing none, Senate Bill 121 is hereby ordered printed for third reader. Does that do that for that calendar? We have a budget and tax. We have another calendar. This is calendar number 3 from budget and tax. Clerk, read the first bill.
Senate Bill 141, Senator Elfrith, Income Tax Subtraction Modification for Adoption Expenses Alterations, favorable with one amendment.
Chair recognizes the senator from Montgomery County as the floor leader.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. Colleagues, Senate Bill 141 is dealing with subtraction modifications for adopting children, especially those with special needs. I just wanted to give a special shout out to the senator from the capital city who's been a tremendous leader on these issues. But what's interesting is, Mr. President, colleagues, when we're discussing this about the income subtraction modification for adopting youth, we actually didn't know the last time this has been increased. So this is timely, it's needed, and it'll especially help parents who are adopting special needs children. There is one committee amendment. It adds all the members of Budget and Taxation onto the bill. So I'd move the amendment and the adoption of the favorable committee report.
Floor leader moves to the adoption of the one committee amendment and the favorable committee report. On the amendment, any discussion? Any objections? Without objection, the amendment is adopted. Question now on the amended report. Any discussion? If not, all in favor of the report say aye. Opposed, nay. The ayes have it. The favorable committee report as amended is adopted. Are there any further amendments to the bill or its title? Seeing none, Senate Bill 141 is hereby ordered printed for third reader. Clerk, read the next bill.
Senate Bill 174, Senator Gazone, Sales and Use Tax Exemption Redevelopment Areas in Baltimore County Sunset Extension, favorable with one amendment.
Chair recognizes the senator from Baltimore County as the floor leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. Senate Bill 174 is a sales and use exemption tax, redevelopment in areas of Baltimore County to Sunset Extension. This bill terminates the date of sales and use tax and exempts for the sales of specific construction materials and warehouse equipment in Baltimore County from June 20th, 26 to June 30th, 2036. This bill takes effect July 1st, 2023. We have one amendment. We have sponsors. And we move favorable adoption of the amendment and the favorable report. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Senator. Floor leader moves to the adoption of the one committee amendment and the favorable committee report. Any discussion on the amendment? Any objections? Without objection, the one committee amendment is adopted. Question now is on the amended report. Any discussion? If not, all in favor of the report say aye. Opposed, nay. The ayes have it. The favorable committee report is adopted. Are there any further amendments to the bill or its title? Seeing none, Senate Bill 174 is hereby ordered printed for third reader. All right, Senators, the desk is clear. So let's do committee announcements. Chair recognizes the Chair of the Finance Committee.
Thank you, Mr. President. Senate Finance will meet today at 1 p.m. We'll have bill hearings on public health and health occupations bills, 1 p.m.
1 p.m. Chair recognizes the Senator from Education, Energy, and the Environment.
The EEE Committee will meet at 1 p.m. today for a fiscal briefing from DLS, followed immediately thereafter with bill hearings. We've got 5 bills on the calendar, Mr. President.
Thank you, Senator. Chair recognizes the Chair of Budget and Tax.
Thank you, Mr. President. At 1 o'clock, we'll have full committee budget hearings, and then we will have voting afterwards.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Chair of Judicial Proceedings.
Thank you, Mr. President. The Judicial Proceedings Committee will meet today at 1 o'clock for bill hearings. We have 9 bills on the docket, mainly concerning gun safety, and we have over 300 witnesses, so please be on time.
Yes.
Thank you.
It's going to be a long day. Appreciate the members being there. We know that it's going to be a long, long day. So also, it's going to be a crowded Miller and James building, so just keep that in mind today. If there is, don't hesitate to call our office if there are any issues of just feeling cramped, because we don't have the Miller East and West anymore because of the reconstruction. So we don't have the overflow rooms like we used to. So we're going to do the best we can and adjust to the New World Order and make it work. So, all right, any joint committees, delegations, select committees? Any other announcements for the good of the order? Yes, Chair recognizes the Senator from Frederick City.
Thank you. Today is Frederick Day in Annapolis. It's a tradition we've held for years. Unfortunately, we had to postpone the last couple of years. We hope that those of you that aren't in marathon sessions will join us at the Calvert House from 4:30 to 6:30. Just a few words about the second largest municipality in our state. We have a diversified, robust economy, a very expansive arts community, and some of the best restaurants in the state. So come learn more about Frederick and enjoy some good food while you're there. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you, Senator. I look forward to stopping by. It'll be great. Yes, Chair recognizes the Senator from Montgomery County.
Thank you, Mr. President. Tonight is the State of the Union of the United States, and I want to recognize a constituent who will be up in the gallery this evening as a guest of the President and the Second Gentleman. Ruth Cohen is a survivor of the Holocaust and currently a volunteer at the United States Holocaust Memorial Museum. During the Nazi regime, Ms. Cohen and her family were forced from their home, and Cohen was later sent to Auschwitz. She survived. She was liberated in 1945, and 3 years later came to the United States as an immigrant. Like I said, she'll be a guest of President Biden and Second Gentleman Doug Emhoff. Please look for Ms. Cohen this evening.
Thank you, Senator, for that observation. Thanks for sharing that. Thank you. We certainly will. All right. Any further business? Yes, Chair recognizes the Senator from District 6.
Thank you, Mr. President. Tomorrow morning, we have Bible study in the Nail Room. Just to let you know, we do it live, but we always also do it in Zoom. So if you just want to relax, maybe stay at home. At 8 o'clock in the morning, we have a Bible study, so feel free to come. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator. Any further business? If not, let's do a quorum call before we adjourn.
Mr. President.
Has everyone recorded their presence? Appears so. The clerk will take the call. With 45 members in the chamber and a quorum being present, the Senate of Maryland remains in session. Chair recognizes the Majority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move the Senate of Maryland stand adjourned until Wednesday, February 8th at 10 a.m.
Without objection, so ordered. Have a great day.